Hello and welcome to another edition of Droppin Baums with me, your host, Corey Baumeister. As always, with the lovely folks here at TCGplayer.com, bringing you the best in your trading card needs. This last weekend, I shuffled up this Jeskai treasure list that was inspired by Martin Porter, who 5-0'd a lead with this. I saw the list, I thought it was really cool, I made some changes, and I took it to my local state tournament. I ended up coming up with a W here, so I got my 6th state title from North Dakota under my belt, so come by North Dakota anytime during states time and, try to take it from me. We had 3 great matches here against Boros and 2 different Grixis opponents, 2 different very extremely different Grixis decks. I have all the links below there that you might need to hustle through any of the specific matchups. We got the deck tech at the end you can go to. I also have my link there at TCGplayer.com where I have a short sideboard guide along with a short write-up as well. And I hope you enjoy the games. And welcome to the games here. Alright, I'm excited for this beautiful masterpiece here. Alright, so we are going second. Our opponent's on the mulligan. We're going to keep this. This hand is great. Anytime you can have turn 2 treasure map, you just feel so unfair. And sometimes it's more correct to play turn 3 when you can actually activate it, which might be the case here. We'll see, but alright. Let the games begin. Look like we might have a mirror on our hand. Could be Boros as well, but I kind of doubt it. Regardless, we're going to take the 2 here. Our opponent could have treasure map, so we'd want to spell pierce it, or just a safe opt here is fine. Alright. Opt. Teferi, I think we'll keep that. Now is the tricky one, because our opponent could be on a white-based deck, and more than likely is with the planes here. So History of Benalia could easily be in our future here. Otherwise, I'd say we just want to slam treasure map, but I would like to counter history if that's a thing. So I think we're just going to play a tap land here and pass. Getting the history here would just be so backbreaking. Ooh, backs have been broken. 1 spell pierce at a time. Alright, max rewarded for that play. And now let the map begin. Now on turn 5, we have this combo assembled. Like, oh, it's so good. Okay, that's pretty good. Sailor of Means. I think we'll keep that. That stands in the way of those cards. Not too often you scry Sailor of Means to the top, but it's good. It's really good. It was just so good for me at this state tournament before. Or this last weekend. God, next turn we can even do Niv with dive down our red. Or no, we're 1 short. Teferi though. Oh. Yeah, the game was just going to be over that next turn. Yeah, we would have flipped map. Just busted. Okay, red-white. We're going to bring in the Clarion. I like Settle. Invoke the Divine is pretty good. The versions that go more all in on history tend to be worse. Or that go all in, on heroic reinforcements tend to be a little worse just because they can't play as many Conclave Tribunals. Still good. Still good. We're definitely still going to bring it in. We'll take out the Spell Pierce. I actually, not the biggest dive down fan. Assembling the combo is great, but if we're bringing in Invoke the Divines, they're already kind of the dive downs. I don't like slow cards like Secret. Karn is not great, but it's not horrendous. It is pretty bad, but Expansion, Explosion, and Counterspells are not that great either. I like extra threats like Rekindling Phoenix, and I do like Bindings. So, in that case, we are going to have to take out some top end. Really don't need Expansion, Explosion. And then it comes down to having 5 counterspells on the draw I don't really like. Syncopate is fine because you can get, like, histories on the draw, stuff like that. But this is kind of the maxed out deck list here to punish small white creatures. And I think we're just going to run it like this. Yeah, or Invoke the Divines, like, even if our Niv-Mizzet gets Ixalan's Binding, we have this, we have Teferi, we have our own bindings to get it. Dive Down just isn't really what we want to be doing there. So we're going to submit this. I consider this a very good matchup, especially post-board. We just have so many ways to deal with small creatures, and we diversify our threats so that Ixalan's Binding doesn't just shut us down. Ooh, this hand's pretty awkward. I mean, if we get an island on top or the second to the top, this hand is great, but I think it's just a little too risky, so we're going to mulligan. Ooh, well, there's our islands. We're going to keep this, but this hand is quite poor. Guess we do need lands. We're going to keep it. Yeah, this one's not good, though. If we snuck this one out, I would be very impressed. Alright, Hunted Witness. Land go. Yeah, a lot of these Boros decks have become way more geared to beat Jeskai, and that surprisingly means Hunted Witness. I mean, it's a weird thing to think that this is a card in response to this deck, but it is good against Clarion, you know. I mean, their whole deck is basically evading that card now. But we do have Sailor of Means, which is just such a beating for this deck. We are going to take that. Alright, well, there's Clarion. Now we just need the white source. And then it's still not actually good right now, but still. We're going to have to take a beating for a little bit. We'll try to Ixalan's Binding that Vanguard here. Would be the ideal thing. Legion's Landing. Pretty good right now since we don't have... well, no land, so they're really depending on that Legion's Landing. Ooh, that might be enough of a reason to do this. I think it is. I mean, that stops the Legion Landing, and they're stuck on 2 lands. I just don't see how we have another option here. Stops it only for 1 turn, but now next turn, if our opponent only plays 1 creature, we can Binding the Vanguard, and then we still stop it. History is the same way. We do stop it for 1 turn. Alright, so Ixalan's Binding on the Vanguard. Yeah, maybe that Clarion was a little aggressive. You know, I mean, we had to figure they had some histories, and being able to... Our opponent would have a flip that... Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's pretty tough. We really need to deal with a lot here. Gotta get rid of the Vanguard and maybe kind of hope to draw another Clarion. Teferi's not going to do much next turn. In fact, I think we just have to negative on a Night token to stay alive. Uh-oh. Now that takes away our play. Now we really just kind of need that Clarion. Yeah, Clarion here would probably be game over, though. Boom. Yep, we're dead. Alright, on the play, I do like changing a few things. I don't like settles on the play. I think we can be more proactive. And I actually like Karn for getting in the way of a Danto Vanguard, but on the draw, it's just usually a little too slow. And we can think about cards like Lyra when we have Sailor of Means, especially if we have Invoke the Divine. Yeah, especially we see in Spyglass too. I think we are going to keep in these Invokes. Maybe we'll diversify a little bit here and do that for our threats. I like that. But otherwise, I think we'll keep it like this. The only consideration now is maybe keeping in 1 settle instead of maybe like a Syncopate. But Syncopate on the play can actually be pretty good. So we're just going to keep it like this. Alright, game 3. I'd like to play first. This hand is fine. This hand messes with their stuff quite well. And we have the combo of Sailor Means and Deafening Clarion. Attack for 1, gain 1. Alright, Foundry into play tapped. Your turn, sir and or madam. I guess it wouldn't be end. You wouldn't have 2 people playing. That's against the Code of Conduct. Alright. Treasure map on top would have been ideal there. No such luck. Now something like an Adanto Vanguard, and we get to just play Adanto Vanguard's worst enemy. Sailor of Means. And now we're really looking for a planeswalker. A planeswalker gets us to the promised land. Being able to go turn 4 Rawl or Teferi or Lyra would just be insane. Alright, now time to put up the brick wall. Turn too late, treasure map. Turn too late, but still good. Alright, Sailor Means. The brick wall has been assembled. This must be a history. Ooh, lava coil. Left him in. Smart. Okay, well, this is going to have to be a binding turn, it looks like. Get rid of all the Adanto Vanguards. Okay, Karn was a great pickup too. We got a lot of great... We have the tools to win this game. Now it's just, we just play them accordingly and we should be okay. Of course, there could be, yeah, I mean, that's a lot of damage. And that flips Vanguard. That is terrifying. Well, yeah, that definitely changes stuff. Now we could go Karn, tick down, make a 2/2, and then just be okay with being dead to another heroic reinforcements. Maybe we're just dead to that anyway. Kind of seems like we are. So, I think our options are Karn, tick down, make a 2/2, which doesn't seem great because on board our opponent could just attack and kill Karn as a very conservative play. We could go Clarion and take 2 and play Treasure Map, which seems okay. Leaving our opponent with a 1/1 and us at 5. So heroic reinforcement kills us there as well. And that puts us in Banefire range. This is tough. Yeah, that we really just wanted one turn where he didn't do something crazy like reinforcements there. So what we really want to do is save a Clarion so we can attack with lifelink once our constructs get big enough. That's kind of the way to just break this wide open. But I don't think we have the time for that. And well, okay, so here's a play that keeps us alive if we do have heroic. And it's Deafening Clarion and just Sacred Foundry tapped, not playing Treasure Map. It's probably the safest. And we should probably be doing it. Alright, alright. I don't like it. It's boring. And then we can start doing the constructs to kind of fight the Adanto land. But we're going to need some help here, I think. At least we're not completely dead to heroic, but basically dead. No. Oof. Well, we would have been straight dead if we would have taken 2 there. So that's 5. We're going to 2. Might still just be dead. Opt. Opt is not going to get the job done unless we find a Clarion off of it. Is that our last hope? Yeah, nothing in our hands saves us, so I guess we have to opt. Sailor of Means. Does not save us either. Bottom. Draw. We're dead. Ugh. Lame. Things were looking so good, we just needed another turn or two. Or just one more life. Yep, that'll do it. That'll do it. Oh, that was a brutal one. Okay, well anyways, stay tuned for round 2. We're going to redeem ourselves. Back for round 2. Alright, so we're on the draw again, unfortunately. This hand is a little slow. Doesn't have a lot of early interaction here, and Secrets of the Golden City is actually pretty bad to play on the draw when you don't play something else. But we still got to keep this. You know, we would aggressively expansion if we could play anything. And our mana base is good. It's just too good not to keep here. Settle. Not an ideal draw, but that's okay. Grixis. Thought Erasure? Thought Erasure actually kind of helps us because we can play secret if he... Oh, okay. But, you know, that's nice too. If our opponent even plays like Disinformation Campaign, we can, you know, discard something that isn't that great and then play Secrets next turn so we don't have to discard. Not irrelevant. Okay. I think we'll go with... Go with blue-red here just to conceal some information that we're not for sure Jeskai. And it's unlikely to matter. Can still play 2 white sources to settle later. Treasure map. It's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, now we might just have to cast Secrets of the Golden City anyways if we don't draw something. Syncopate's pretty good as well. I can just see reason for just wanting to play land go. Probably even Sacred Foundry tapped go. That might be a little ambitious, but with the Scry, our opponent's likely to play something that costs 3. Could be something like a Thought Erasure, and then we would look kind of silly, though. And the 2 damage is unlikely to matter too much, so we'll just go Glacial Fortress. And pass. We don't want to cast Golden City just because we'll have to discard. Doesn't seem to be super smart. We will jam a Karn out there, though. Next turn, if given the opportunity. Discovery, we're okay with. Yep, we're going to jam. So that treasure map is going to do some disgusting things soon. And we don't have much going on here, so we're definitely behind. We need to find a way to gain some advantage. And Karn is the perfect way to do so. Now, we don't have much artifact interaction, so we just need land. So we're going to start ticking up. And it's almost always the person gives you the land. And it is always, the person always gives you the land when there is in fact 2 lands, so. Alright, so our opponent can do some silly stuff like Niv-Mizzet, you know, flip treasure map, Niv-Mizzet with dive down or something unbeatable like that. And it looks like our opponent is leaning more towards a Niv-Mizzet build. Okay. Oh, Mirari's Conjecture can get either one of those. That's spicy. Now, we're not that afraid of that, because we can actually Teferi that, and I think we will. So we're going to tick up. Maybe we Teferi treasure map, actually. We want to Teferi everything. I for sure don't want my opponent to copy spells. And I should also maybe just starting to get some Karns going to start pressuring. We can actually start making Karn quite large here over the course of the next couple turns. Maybe Teferi tick up is still just the best play. Like, neither of these are super threatening. And if we Teferi tick up, we have Expansion and Syncopate and Seal Away. Seal Away is quite irrelevant, but available to us. If we do tick up with Teferi, we for sure make a Construct. Yeah, let's try that. This could end poorly for us, but... Construct... Untap 2 lands and say go. Yeah, we have a lot of artifacts we can get on the table here. The Mirari is being conjected. We do have a lot of dead cards-ish here. Mirari's Conjecture again. Well, it doesn't get anything, so yeah, I suppose we'll let that one resolve. Okay. It's an interesting play. Our opponent just really wants to go off next turn. We got the land, which is important. Don't really need cards right now. We definitely need our opponent to not conjecture us. So I think we're going to get rid of that one. But maybe we're just going to get all our artifacts into play here too. I kind of like that. We're going to do a Sailor Means and Treasure Map. And make a Construct. And now all of a sudden we have like a board presence that is presenting lethal next turn. And we'll get rid of the Conjecture, which is our immediate threat right now. Of course, being because our opponent's going to copy anything next turn. Anything and everything, I should say. So that's a little scary. So we're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to say go. Alright, Treasure Map's flipping. Conjecture next turn is bringing back exactly nothing. Put the card on top, so we still have that other Conjecture a couple cards away. Our opponent might be trying to return Teferi to our hand right now, which is completely fine with us. Sure. We'll discard Seal Away. Now we can just Teferi tick down on this one next turn. So our opponent drew a card. So Mirari's Conjecture is not on top, but it's the card below. Lava Coil. Looks like we can't do anything about that. That's okay. So now we cannot kill our opponent next turn. Ooh. Hello, Niv-Mizzet. I don't know how good Niv-Mizzet is right now. It's definitely going to be good. Eventually. Because I think we need to play Teferi next turn to get rid of Mirari's Conjecture. But having Niv-Mizzet in our back pocket seems like the correct thing to do. So we'll keep it on top. Alright, we'll draw it. And now we're going to tick up Karn. We don't want to lose our Karn. So we'll see what our opponent gives us. Okay. Land is almost exactly what we needed. So now if we Teferi, down tick on this, and then we would have Syncopate for 2, or we could Scry. I think that is better. Alright, drop Teferi. Get rid of the Conjecture. And then we'll get our beats on for 4. Now our construct is going to get quite beefier next turn by the flipping of the map. It'll get +2 because it'll create 3 treasures. It, of course, turns itself into a land. Teferi being shocked. That's pretty good. Gotta let that happen. So now our opponent can draw Mirari's Conjecture if they want. I think now our opponent is actually looking at, with the Surveil, 2 Conjectures. Kept them both. Okay, so now we could Syncopate for 2 to get rid of all the treasures. I don't really like it. So we'll just let it go. Shock comes back. Now we got to be aware of that shock before we down tick Karn or something like that. Opt. We're going to keep that. And we're going to save that because we're going to play Niv-Mizzet here. Okay, so treasure map. Clarion. Can get lifelink here, but that's not a big deal. We're going to put that to the bottom. Now, I kind of want to just cast Niv-Mizzet first. See if our opponent wants to cast anything. Niv-Mizzet. So if our opponent wants to shock, here's your chance. Now we should just be able to win the game. 5, 6. Cast Secrets of the Golden City, which is a total of 4 damage. Opt is 2 damage. Yep, we just have lethal here. Unless our opponent does something, in which case if they do something, that triggers Niv-Mizzet, is more damage. So first we get in, and now we're going to be sacking all our treasures. So our opponent could have something like Negate here for the Secret of the Golden City. So if our opponent does have Negate, we're going to want to land. Now we're going to tick up, see if our opponent gives us a land. We don't necessarily need it because we can still opt, but that'll do. Alright, so blue, blue. Secrets of the Golden City, which is just lethal on its own. Alright. Grixis Conjecture, eh? Alright, well. Negate sound good. Spell Pierce sounds good. Ixalan's Binding's pretty good. Invoke's gotta be good. Dive Down seems okay. Seal Aways seem bad. But we do gotta be wary that our opponent could have Thief of Sanity, so we don't want to be cold to that card. Sailor Means actually seems quite good. It's one of its main purposes is being able to have a creature against the Eldest Reborn, so you just don't lose your Planeswalker. This is one thing that this deck does better than any other deck, in my opinion. So initially I want to do something like this, but this is a little weak to Thief of Sanity, but I think we're supposed to be okay with that. I mean, we do have Binding. That's pretty slow. Yeah, right now binding is really our only answer to it, and syncopating, which probably is fine. But I do like having Rekindling Phoenix. I like bringing this threat in against pretty much everything to diversify threats. Maybe we can take out one Sailor. Yeah, kind of like this. We'll run it. Run it! Alright, game 2 on the draw. Sounds fine. We won't die to Thief of Sanity, so that's cool. I like not dying. Alright. Oh, hello, treasure map. My good friend. What you got? 2 blue-red lands. Okay. Surveil away. Keeps them both. We're going to opt. We'll take it to Teferi. I'm all about that planeswalker. Sometimes you need a hero. You need a hero, and Teferi is that hero. So now is the scary situation. We could tap up for treasure map, which is miles and away the best play. And then just die to Thief of Sanity if that's the case. Or we can just say go and then treasure map next turn if we can. I think it's the correct play. If our opponent Thief of Sanity is here, we're going to feel smart. If our opponent does something like that, we're going to feel real stupid. Oh well. We do get to invoke that, which is something we are going to want to do. No treasure maps yet, unfortunately. The best way to find a true treasure is to first destroy somebody else's treasure. Opt. Okay. There's the black source. Alright, well. Now we're going to go for it. Our opponent could have a negate or something, or worst case scenario, spell pierce and still get to use treasure map. Ooh, hello. That was good. Our opponent chose not to scry even. That's interesting. So now I think we will try our hands at a treasure map, while leaving a syncopate for 1 open. We won't get Mirari's Conjectured, which is very good. If our opponent goes land Mirari's Conjecture, I think the game ends on our side, because we can just untap, go to Teferi, untap, and I think we could lock it up from there. But there's quite a few powerful 5-drops here that would make our opponent want to try that. Ooh, or a 4-drop apparently. Ooh. Oh, we got him. We got him. If our opponent has a land here and didn't play it, they're going to feel quite silly. The old 2-for-1. The old, yeah, I think that was the tilt 2-for-1 where our opponent had a land. Well, for sure had a land. They discarded Mountain. You gotta watch yourself with those cards that make you discard a card to gain additional value. They sometimes can bite you right in the rear end. Okay, anyways, round 3 coming at you right now. Let's try to get a 2-1 with this states winning deck list here. Stay tuned. And we're back for round 3 here. Okay, so we won the die roll. Things are looking even more up. We're gonna go first. Ooh, this hand is ugly. So on the play, I normally don't mind a little bit heavy of land-heavy hands, just because with control, I mean, it's one of the most important things to just make your land drops here. And this is kind of the case, you know, I mean, we're on pace to just cast a Niv-Mizzet on turn 6. More than likely have it die because we want a protection, then cast another one. Plus, expansion could serve useful a little bit, but if we're playing up against like Boros or something, we're just gonna be really in trouble here. Yeah, this is a close one. Because I normally like to keep land heavy hands on the play. It's a tough one. I think we're going to gamble with it. This could go horrendously wrong, and this is definitely a gamble. But, you know, we have power in our hand. We have all our colors. Let's hope it's enough. Our opponent has the funk. All right. Our opponent keeps. We're going to start it with the steam vents and hope for the best. Treasure map on the top would just be so busted. So we have 3 outs to just make our hand just perfect. You know, treasure map would be just as good as anything here. Oh, that's not great. Okay, well that's not bad. We will play this, and there's no reason to play it yet. Well, our hand is quite duress-proof. Knight of Malice. Okay, interesting. We're going to opt. Bottom that. Karn's pretty good. Dive down. If we can get there, that'll be great. Now we just hope our opponent doesn't go either hand disruption for Karn or something that makes it so aggressive that we can't play Karn. Yeah, those would be the worst. It would have to get up to 6 power to be able to stop Karn, and doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Now, if Karn just resolves, it's going to be so hard to lose this game. Ooh. Okay, okay. I'm all about this. So we get a couple activations of Karn at least. So we're going to tick up. Our opponent kind of knows our hand, so might keep us away from land. Looks like we got a Teferi under there. Okay. Yep. Yeah, Teferi is something we don't want right now. Ooh, okay. Karn got us. Double treasure map. So what we do want is a land here. So we're going to opt for a land. Don't want Raw right now. Spell Pierce, also not great. We'll have to play a map, say go, have Spell Pierce mana available. Now all we want to do is get to Niv-Mizzet and flip it here. At least we can counter like an Eldest Reborn, but we really want to be ticking up treasure map here. Our opponent playing an Eldest Reborn and us having to deal with it would basically time lock us as well. So we're going to keep that. And now it looks like we're going to play another treasure map. And from here, next turn, we just get to go nuts. We just get to go nuts. As long as our opponent doesn't play anything too bad for us. That's a-okay. We'll take 4. And step. Do some scrying. Opponent could have some way to remove treasure map. I think that's a good insurance policy if our opponent does find a way to remove it. So we'll keep that on top. We're going to scry again. Our opponent could play something like Dream Eater. That could be some consideration here. And Dream Eater would be good. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Keep that on top and hope he lets us untap. Perfect. So now we could be under a bit of a trap here if our opponent wants to do something to treasure map. We're going to try it anyways. Because if we just play Niv-Mizzet anyways, it does not do much. So Syncopate. I'm not really about the Syncopate life right now. So I'm going to put that on bottom. Trigger that. We're going to go blue, 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 red, red, red. Niv-Mizzet. And now we have two little tricks that our opponent is very unlikely to know about. Well, does not know about, but we'll see if they actually matter. So Eldest Reborn is still quite bad. Chupacabra, less bad. Okay, we get to dive down that. Dive down is such a huge play when it comes to this. Yep, I mean, it's just insane. Dive down's just so busted. Okay, so a Grixis mid-range deck. We got to anticipate they have Hand Disruption, Eldest Reborn, you know, more than likely some disinformation campaigns. Enough where we will not want Settle. We are going to want these. I think these will be good. Deafening Clarion. Well, Seal Away seems horrendous if they have Knight of Malice. I think Sailor is enough at stopping those pesky knights. We're going to bring in some counter magic. Now we can bring... I like the rest of this main deck. We got a lot of counter magic, plus a lot of planeswalkers. I really like this. Ixalan's Binding is a card I just always like. Against these type of decks, you know, they just can't interact with enchantments very well, so that tends to be very good. Also really like Rekindling Phoenix. And I kind of want the other one, but I'm not positive what to cut here. Spell Pierce is something that can be kind of narrow and maybe not that good. So I think we'll just play one of those and we'll give this a shot here. It can also be like your best card, so it's kind of a tough one here, but we're gonna land on this list and give this a shot. All right, Funk, bring it on. Everybody's got to love the Funk. Okay, this hand is great. A heck of a lot better than our last hand, and that hand went fine. Yeah, that hand is still questionable. It worked out well for us because we did draw pretty decently off the top, but it could have went real bad for us. So I don't know if I necessarily advise of it. I would still keep it, and it is right on that borderline, but, you know, it's just a close one. Plain and simple. Okay, we're going to play this. Now, we do have expansion available if in case there's something that would be needed for that. Thief of Sanity. Woo! Ruh-roh. Okay, well, got to deal with that. Yeah, that card's real. At least we do have one of our answers in our hand in the form of Binding. Unfortunately, we don't have too much else going on. So now it comes down to the fact that do we play Sailor or Treasure Map? Sailor's going to do absolutely nothing right now as far as the creature, and the map might help us find some stuff, so we're just going to do that. Our opponent is going to begin the Thievery. And now if our opponent can protect against this Binding, I think we're just done, sadly. All right. Well, at least that's not another one. The Thief of Sanity is actually more important here. Do we want another land? I think we're going to bottom that. And I think we're going to discard a Sailor of Means to this Bolus. Now, we need to get that off the board as well. But we don't really have the means to do it yet. And that is something that can be dealt with. I mean, you know, turn 7 until it can actually be cast. Not that big of a deal. Thief of Sanity just steals games. So we're going to have to try to get rid of that. Now, we just hope our opponent didn't take like a Teferi of ours. That would just absolutely wreck us. Uh-oh. That's not Teferi. But that is a big creature. Big creature we do not have an answer for. So now it comes to the question, should we scry it upkeep to try to find an answer? And I think we have to. Syncopate is not an answer. Opt? I don't think we can really go into a 3-drop that really helps us. So maybe we're just supposed to save it for our Niv-Mizzet turn next turn. Answer something that way. We are taking 10. Oof. And we don't have a lot of ways in to actually deal with these cards. We took out the seal-aways, which I think maybe we should be bringing them in. Taking out cards like Spell Pierce and Negate since they're going more along the creature plan. We just didn't see enough of the deck right away to know for sure if we were making a mistake by the way we sideboarded. Well, I think we're just going to play Sailor for now. And give this a shot. I think we're going to save this opt for when we play Niv-Mizzet next turn and hope to come back. We're going to have to take this. Freebooter. Chooses a non-creature. So I think we gotta opt here in response since our opponent's likely to take that anyways. Alright, definitely we'll be taking our expansion explosion now, so maybe that was still wrong. Alright, these sailors seem real bad. Well, it does still have knights, so that is a key piece of information. They do seem a little better now. Okay, so we're going to scry. Ixalan's Binding is good. But is it too late? And I think it is. So we can bind this. Yep, that's not enough. And if that card's not enough, I don't know what we can really draw, and it's not that. Okay. Reevaluate for sure on this match. So a lot more creatures than I thought. So we're going to maybe err away from those. Even these. Now that opens up a lot of room for us. Seal Away seems pretty good. Definitely at least a couple. Rekindling Phoenix seems great. Yeah, I think we're going to go 3 Seal Away here for Thief of Sanity as well. Now on the play, we can excel into these Planeswalkers, so I think Sailor is probably still fine. Yeah, it's probably still fine. I think we'll just go like this. Basically, almost our game 1 configuration minus Clarions for Phoenixes. Seems fine to me. I would love to go first. Little clunky, but we got power, so we're going to keep it. Every hand gets better with a treasure map, and you know, I mean, when you don't have that, they just don't look as good. That's just plain and simple. That card is just so busted. But at least we do have an answer for Thief of Sanity here in the form of just playing a Phoenix. Card's very hard for the deck to deal with when they don't play a lot of Vraska's Contempt, which isn't the most popular card right now out of the deck, which is kind of crazy. Because it's just the most efficient, non-conditional removal spell we have out right now. Okay, so we're going to start with the Steam Vents tapped. I always err on the side of blue-red, being the first land. Alright, Duress is going to get our Karn. I wish we had anything other than Karn. We could have got him. Sailor Means is pretty good. Or at least not terrible. Sailor Means ramp. Bloodfast. Okay, well, we're getting aggressive on that, so our opponent shouldn't have too much time to do that kind of stuff. And this is going to protect us from Eldest Reborn here. And let us play Niv-Mizzet in a couple turns. Ooh, sorry, that's a miss. Alright. So we're going to play a Steam Vents. We want to stop drawing lands. Play a Rekindling Phoenix, and we'll pass it back. It's really no point in the bluff attack, you know. I mean, there's just nothing from Jeskai that you could have. Lava Coil takes care of the Phoenix. Smart. The Niv-Mizzet should be a little harder to take care of here. Now the real question is, do we wait for Opt to gain some value? Or do we just try to play it now and hope it works? And I think the answer is play it now, just because our opponent only has 3 cards in hand and has inevitability with Arguel's Bloodfast. So I think it's just time to get old Niv-Mizzet down. And hope it kind of carries us, which this card does do quite often. Blue, blue, and blue. Niv-Mizzet. Draw your card. Alright, Niv-Mizzet, do your worst. Could have Chupacabra. That's the worst. Lava Coil targeting that. So we're going to draw a card. We're going to ping this because it's very likely our opponent is going double Lava Coil. And we'll at least get a little bit of value out of this. Yep, that was the case. So our Phoenixes were quite bad to bring in now. Not many people leave in Lava Coil. So I was kind of banking on that for our success there, but that's okay. That should help our success as well. And now we'll just play this tapped. Attack. We're not going to play our Opt 2 because we want to gain the value off Niv-Mizzet. So we're just going to have Ionize to kind of back something up here. Yeah, that's something we want backed up. Get that card out of there. Uh-oh. Ooh. Ooh. That's not cool. That's not cool at all. I mean, our opponent is handless. You know, so just the Niv-Mizzet alone should be pretty powerful here. That should be pretty good as well. But yeah, we can't really do anything about the Niv-Mizzet or this flipping, unfortunately. Yeah, if our opponent draws a land and flips this, we're kind of in trouble. Niv-Mizzet doesn't do much. But I think we have to risk it. Because then we can kill this if we untap. Yeah, unfortunately, we got to kind of hope here. Fade one time. Fade one time. Fade, 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 fade. Looks like we're fading. Oh, yeah. Now we might just be able to win. Okay, well, that's okay, because whatever our opponent takes, we get to kill that during the draw step to get it back. So we're going to deal 1 here. All right, we're going to Opt, deal 1 more there. And now we got that back, so we get to scry. Oh, 2. It's only got 2 targets. But just an explosion for 2 aimed at Nicol Bolas. Us drawing 2 cards also kills Nicol Bolas, which is the main thing. So we are going to keep this. 1 to this. I guess we maybe should have did some math to see if we could do lethal. Okay, so this is a total of 5 damage. Yeah, so we can't do lethal, but yeah, something we should have definitely figured out first. So 2 damage here, and we're going to draw 2. Blue. Done. All right, so we're going to draw a card, deal this last point of damage here. Draw 2. Deal 2 to our opponent's face. Unfortunately, we played a land. Get in there for 6. And our opponent can flip, but that's okay. Flipping this is not as scary as it used to be when it was kind of game over when the Scarab God flipped it. Now it's a lot different. Ooh, is this a star? Banefire. Okay. So we drew a card, 1 to you. And now it's time for the Planeswalkers to take over. Now it's just which ones are best. And I think since we have 2 copies of Teferi, we should start with that. Have them deal with that first. Teferi. Draw. Unfortunately, no other action here from us. We get to untap a couple lands, but nothing to do with them. So our opponent is, still alive. Midnight Reaper. Okay, we don't care about that too much. 2 Midnight Reapers. Okay, well, now our opponent can do some things here with the Temple. That's some cute interaction. So we do get to play 2 planeswalkers this turn. That should help our cause. And where's the fun? Where's the fun? We didn't have lethal. We could have, we were gonna win, but we had to. Oh, I guess our opponent can't. I guess that interaction doesn't work very well. Yeah, well. Anyways, it was a blast. Super Friends, back in Standard. I want to thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for the deck tech. And welcome to the deck tech, everybody. All right, well, those are some good matches. I don't want to spoil the results for anybody who wants to get a little grasp of the deck as a whole before they watch the matches. I've gotten that a few times that people enjoy to do that, so I won't spoil the results. But, this deck pulls through just, like it did for me last weekend at my state tournament. Had a blast with it. I loved playing it. I mean, some of the interactions and some of the different things you can do, along with the different angles that you have that a normal Jeskai control list don't normally have. When you add different planeswalkers, you have such a different avenue to win the game here. And I mean, I think the Karn and Artifact kind of reach when it comes to making constructs and having Sailor Amines as blockers and stuff gives you a lot of elements against 2 major things that are going on in the format here. Something like Eldritch Reborn, Plague Crafter kind of stuff that people are attacking Jeskai with lately, along with like Midnight Reapers and Adanto Vanguards. It just blocks those, and it is an easy target to sacrifice when you have these Plague Crafters and Eldritch Reborn type things going on. On top of all that versatility, it also just ramps you into a turn 4 5-mana Planeswalker, which is huge. It's absolutely huge. The mana base remains the same, as Jeskai can't really change much because they really need all that they can get. The mana base is good, but it's not great. But you really need every single piece of duel that this format has to offer in the Jeskai colors. We go to the 1-drops here. The 2 kind of things that you can do. 4 ops is very standard. The thing that you can do is Spell Pierce, Dive Down, and Shock as your 1-drops. I hate Shock. I think it is a horrendous card right now. Everything's an X3. It hits like Midnight Reaper, which is kind of cool, but they still draw a card, and it's not that great. It hits like a down tick Teferi, but how often are opponents down ticking Teferi against us? It's not that often. So I really like 1 Dive Down just because this is pretty much Splinter Twin. If you assemble Dive Down Niv-Mizzet combo, you win the game. It's that simple. It's unreal, the power level that those 2 cards combine together. Spell Pierce is a card that I'm less positive of. It's something I've been trying more, and it has been giving me good results, so I haven't really, sided against it yet. But I could even just see it being 2 Dive Downs. The card is that good, and the things you want to Spell Pierce are either early treasure maps or like turn 5 Teferis, Rawls, and that's the turn 5, like trying to counter their big payoff spells. Dive Down does nothing. And that is something that I want. I want a little bit more versatility. So I think the 1-in-1 split is good. I think it's correct. Seal Away is miles and ahead the best removal spell right now. There's some argument for Justice Strike being better since it does hit Niv-Mizzet. I will admit I am sacrificing something in the mirror matches by playing 3 Seal Away and no Justice Strike. I could see 2-1 in favor of Seal Away moving forward if you expect a lot of Jeskai, because Seal Away is actually just a dead card against Jeskai opponents who have a firm grasp of what they should do with their Niv-Mizzet, and the firm grasp is never attack with it. Never put it into combat, and it's very hard to lose the game. Treasure Map is the new addition that I haven't really played much with, and it's also the card that has been impressing me the most. Whenever I have this card on turn 2 or 3, it feels like all I'm doing is trying to find Niv-Mizzet and my dive down, and then the game is over on turn 5 instead of turn 8. Because if you play this on 2 or you play it on 3 and activate on 3, by turn 5, you're flipping this and you cast Niv-Mizzet with dive down backup. I mean, that interaction right there is just unbelievably powerful. And even just playing Treasure Map and your opponent thinking, oh, I'm going to do nothing but just scry and kind of get this thing to flip, and then you just have the turn 3 Clarion because they overextended, the play pattern that you can do with Treasure Map is just absolutely insane. I mentioned Sailor Means a bit. Secrets of the Golden City was a interesting one. I almost just removed it from the list when I saw a 5-0 list with it. But then I started playing with it, and I realized with all this treasure interaction, you get the City's Blessing very quickly, and it just becomes like a turn 6, draw 3 cards, and have a counter backup or a Clarion or something like that, and that's just an insane exchange. Ionize over Sabotage. It's easier on the mana base. The damage I don't care about at all, so Sinister Sabotage is a better card. And it's not insanely hard to mess with the mana base here. You only have 8 ways that don't cast it. So I could see it being Sinister Sabotage. I don't fault anyone for doing that. I think it is a little easier on the mana with this, but not by a lot. Clarion, one of the best cards. It's at an all-time low right now since Boros and White Weenie are kind of on a low. Still phenomenal. One Settle, it's just a great card. It can get your Golgari opponents real good when it comes to Carnage. Otherwise, we can't really beat a Carnage Tyrant too well game 1 if we don't at least have one of these. You can make some Karn Structs and hope for the best, but that's a pretty poor plan. And here we got our 6 Planeswalkers. This is the major difference in the deck. Most people are playing 4 Teferis, nothing else. Karn adds a huge element, like I was saying before. It's also just a fine Planeswalker. Great in the mirror if you can stick it. People usually don't defend as hard on turn 4 because it's not that expected. And then I love the difference between, instead of 4 Teferis, 3 Teferis and a Raw, just because the redundancy of these Planeswalkers is real. Drawing 2 Teferis in a matchup where Teferi doesn't die much, or even in a matchup that it dies a lot, it's a great thing it's always better to have 1 Teferi, 1 Raw in hand than 2 Teferis. And if the 3-1 split helps you with that, I'm all for it. We have 3 Scarab Gods here, I meant the other unbeatable blue card here. So Niv-Mizzet, by far the best card in Standard right now. It's not even close. You untap with this card, it ends the game just like the Scarab God. It took a while for people to catch on the Scarab God before. Don't sleep on Niv-Mizzet. I know they're cheap. It doesn't matter. There's no excuse to not have them. I mean, I consider any deck that isn't playing Niv-Mizzet right now in this current state of Standard to just be making a mistake. I think that's blunt, and I think, Golgari is a fine deck, and it's the matchup's close, but I think Jeskai's favored, and I think Jeskai has a huge advantage against other matchups in the field, like Boros. I think Golgari and Jeskai are both favored, but I like the Jeskai side a little bit more. I just think Jeskai is the superior deck right now. I think it's the best by a lot, and partly because of Niv-Mizzet and Teferi. Teferi was the best before. I think Niv-Mizzet's the best now, and Teferi's a close second. The close third is definitely, I'm blanking on the green Planeswalker right now. Vivian Reed, I think that's a close third between the best card right now in the format. That card's insane. We got 3 Syncopates, which I thought was a lot higher number than anything, but just being able to counter something on turn 2 is very big, and all these Golgari decks being to actually exile stuff so they can't be brought back with Find is a huge thing. 2 Explosion Expansion, just a great card. These things can get a little clunky, so I would say this is sometimes even maybe a little bit of a win more card for me. Of course it's great when you're in top deck mode and you have 8 cards and it has some applications. I don't think it's enough to be worth cutting. I could see going down to 1 and going up to another Raw, maybe another Sailor of Means. I could definitely see an expansion for a Sailor of Means. That card was great for me. and maybe just put that to the sideboard for more grindy matchups. I do love it against Golgari. Just control what they're doing, stop their Carnage Tyrants, and then eventually just Explosion for 5 and you win the game. Move on to the sideboard here. Invoke the Divine. I added one of these. I think this card is at an all-time high right now. I think it's just great. It's good against all this white removal these white enchantment removals that target us pretty heavily. It's also great against Treasure Map, which is the new hot thing these days. Ixalan's Binding, just one of the most premium ways to deal with non-white based decks that can't deal with enchantments that well. So like Grixis, it's an all-star. Izzet Drake's just phenomenal. It's great against Boros too, being able to get their Conclave Tribunals and nothing more of yours gets exiled. That's huge. We got one more Settle the Wreckage, mainly for aggressive decks when you're on the draw. On the play, we can be a little bit more proactive. And then Golgari all the time. These decks are learning to play around them, but sometimes they just don't have the time because our deck is also fast and proactive. When we're dropping Planeswalkers, when we drop a Teferi and untap and have 4 mana against Golgari, they don't really have the luxury of just being like, okay, I'll attack with just 1/3/2 and, good luck settling that. You're just like, okay, take it. Eventually deal with my Teferi. Good luck to you. We got Lyra for our red-based matchups. Anything aggressive that can't punish it with easily removing it. Another Sailor of Means for Adanto Vanguard. Anything aggressive, really. 2 Negate, Spell Pierce. Anything control, of course. Rekindling Phoenix. Whenever you think, I don't know, should I bring in Rekindling Phoenix? Just always answer yes. Almost every deck, if you get leveled and people leaving Lava Coils against you, fine, they got you. Cool. But most of the time, bring them in. And if you see Lava Coils still, take them out, But they're so great when people aren't expecting them and take out their hate cards for them, which happens a lot. And it is kind of a case-by-case thing, I much more like them on the draw because your opponents are trying to be aggressive. They're trying to just end the game. This isn't even deck dependent. This is just, what people try to do on the play versus the draw in Magic. And on the play, if your opponent's trying to react to you, they might have Lava Coils. So when you play this on turn 4 and it gets Lava Coiled, you feel real bad. So it's definitely better on the draw, but I've been bringing it in against just about everything and really liking it. Star of Extinction, just when you need to just end the dinosaurs, when you need to take care of Carnage Tyrant, the Star is the main plan. And then Deafening Clarion for any aggressive matchup, anything where you got to mass spray the board quickly. I want to thank you so much for tuning in here. Jeskai Treasures is a deck that I think is going to do some big things at the Invitational this weekend. I wish all my friends, families, followers, anybody who's attending that the best of luck there. Especially my brother, he gets the most luck. I personally will be heading to Portland to try my hand at Modern. Really excited for it. I'm loving my deck. We'll be showcasing or at least letting you know what the deck was next week for next Dropping Bombs. We'll see ya and good luck at the Invitational in GP Portland. Bye.